When, where, and how do you work best? On the beach here in Vancouver after having gone for a nice walk in Pacific Spirit Park. And what I have learned about myself is the best way to start my day and set myself up for success is to exercise first thing in the day. And best is if I can get outside. Outside really renews me and gives me a chance to think, or just to be with nature and the trees and just what's happening around me. There's lots of birds and it's just a beautiful morning here in Vancouver. And what a fantastic way to start the day. I also know this about myself, that my most productive creative time is the first 3 hours of the day, first 3 working hours. And so usually I try and schedule creative work into that time. I typically have a low energy period after lunch. And so I find that booking coaching calls in the early afternoon is great because I get a lot of energy from my clients and I love that client work. And so that really energizes me and keeps me going. And then I have a secondary higher energy period late in the afternoon, and I usually try and finish up some tasks at that time of the day. Now, I'm sharing this with you as what works for me. Not necessarily because that's what will work for you, but rather to give you some indication of how I think about this and the kind of things that I've discovered about myself. And I want you to know that this did not come overnight. It takes a concentrated effort over a period of time to learn these things about yourself. And then sometimes we learn them and then we forget about them, and then we set up our environment so that it doesn't really support us in what works best for us. And so this is something that you need to revisit over and over again and come back to and be curious about. The important thing is that you figure out what works for you. When in the day do you have the most energy? Where do you work best? And it might not be in an office, and it might not be behind a desk. And how? I know some entrepreneurs who really collaborate best when they're walking with people. And that being around a conference room table doesn't work with them. I know others because I've worked with engineers and being a computer scientist for much of my life. I work really well standing in front of a whiteboard with a pen. So it's really what works for you, and spending the time to figure that out. So that's something to figure out. For me, I have very strong boundaries around my work. So I work typical kind of business hours, 8 or 9 in the morning to about 5 or 6 at night. And outside of that time, if you need to reach me, if it's urgent and important, people know that they text or they call me, because I'm not going to be checking email. In fact, I try and only check email in the morning and in midday and in late afternoon. I'm less perfect on that. And I have no reminders on any of my devices when email messages come in, and any kind of other messages for that matter. I don't work well with constant interruptions. I work better with concentrated periods of time. In fact, I work so well with concentrated periods of time that I actually work against my body. And I have learned that to stay healthy, when I'm working on project work at the computer, I have to set my watch timer for 45 minutes, and when it goes off, I have to make sure that I get up and stand up. And sometimes for me that's really, really hard because I'm in the middle of something that's really going well. But for my own health, I have to make sure that I get up and have those breaks. So if you want to have the highest productivity for you and for your team members, figure out where, when, and how you work best, and each of your team members too. If you're struggling with this or anything else with your business, I'm here to help. Call me or email me. I love helping people discover where, when, and how they work their best.
Here's my promise to entrepreneurs. Spend 1 hour with me, and you will have 3 ideas that will accelerate your business in 90 days. What are you waiting for? I'm Coach David J. Greer. You can learn more on my website, coachdjgreer.com. And if you're stuck, just call me, 604-721-5732.